Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus A330 pilot and welcome to our next flight in the Beluga XL. Today we're going to ferry two A320 fuselage sections from Toulouse over to Hamburg Finkenwerder, which is going to take us approximately 2 hours. Our aircraft is sitting here on the ramp, cold and dark, and we can just about get in and commence our loading. Now, first things first though, we gotta make sure that there are no more protective equipment installed on the aircraft, so let's remove the covers and then we can also remove the chocks. Alright, join me inside as we're about to prepare our A330-700, as the type designator of the Beluga XL correctly is, for our flight. Coming from the standard A330, we surely do notice a couple of differences in the aircraft, in that the ECAM switching is slightly different here, or in that we've got slightly different overhead panels, slightly different pedestals, and so on. Alright, standard stuff though, so today let's go ahead and start preparing for our flight. Weather conditions for today's flight are unfortunately very good, but we will be able to deal with it. So, power is on, let's go ahead and start working on it. I am going to import my Simbri flight plan over here. Beluga 213 Golf is our flight today, and if we move down a little bit in our flight plan, then we can start with a quick look at the current weather conditions. So, Toulouse-Blagnac, which is our departure airport, temporary rain, wind southerly at 7 knots, and our destination Finkenwerder. Currently low and overcast, clouds not all too good, and the tempo forecast until 1200 is light drizzle and overcast in 400. So that is likely what we're expecting for the arrival. The wind from around the west at 8 knots, which should be alright for an ILS approach to runway 23. Our first alternate is going to be Bremen, and as you can see, Bremen has good weather conditions. 4,000 meters, light drizzle, nothing to worry about at all for an IFR flight. So with the basics out of the way, let's have a look into our fuel planning, which we can find a little bit further up in our flight plan. As you can see over here, they want us to take off with 19.3, 500 taxi. If we round that up to 20 tons, we should be absolutely good to go. Okay, before we are going to enter all of that, let's go ahead and start to prepare our plane a little bit more, so that we can open the cargo door and then actually start loading the aircraft up. So the radios are going to be set on 1 to 2.8 and 1 to 1.5. Like that. We want to make sure that we listen to both. And make sure that it's also up here on the loudspeaker. So, APU test. It's looking good. Then we can go ahead and start the APU up. Master on and starter on. IRS mode selectors, 1, 2, 3, well, that was too much. Okay, back off, wait for at least 5 seconds, and back in the nav, here we go. So, cockpit lights are set. I will actually keep the backlights on for the time being, doesn't hurt us after all. Then down into the electronic flight bag. So we just said we are going to take 20 tons of fuel, leads us to a takeoff weight of, well, 154 to be on the safe side. Fairly sure we can go off that without any problems. 14 left is our departure runway, synchronized, wet runway, takeoff weight 154. Conf 2 takeoff, air conditioning off, and the rest is set. Calculate. So performance limit to takeoff weight 247, easy going. Next up, let's accept our plane for service. Recall, 1, 2, 3. Looking very good. And we don't have any MEL or CDL items. Aircraft configuration summary. This is a Beluga, so it's not certified for RNAV approaches using final approach mode. If we have to fly in RNAV, we are going to do that in NAV and FPA. Okay. Then, oxygen quantity is good, hydraulic quantities are good, engine oil quantity is good. Okay, flaps agree with the lever, speed brakes are retracted, then we can test our alternate brakes, and they're looking excellent. Okay, perfect, so with that our aircraft is accepted for flight. Then, let's go down into the ground menu, and we are going to open the front cargo door here. We don't need any of the lower cargo doors. And then, payload page. We can download that one from SimBrief, and for the fuel we wanted to take 20 tons. Okay, apply the load. But I most definitely want a visual model of the fuselage's loading. That's just something we got to do, right? But let's give the door a little time to open. As we can see, it does take a little while. However, we can make good use of that time by starting with the cockpit preparation. So, switches are in a little bit different configuration than what we are used to from the Airbus A330. However, overall, it's still the same Airbus logic. It is an Airbus after all. So, batteries are charging normally, very good. Refueling is already complete, so we can turn the pumps on. You will notice no trim tank in the Beluga. Engine fire test. Works just fine, and everything is set up here. Then back to the electronic flight bag, and we can check a QNH of 1026. Like so. Okay, time on GPS. It's the 14th of December today, and everything is set up here. So, radios are set, weather radar is set. Transponder, you can go transponding something. 2000. And you don't want to do the radios today, huh? No worries, I will turn those up for you, my friend. Okay, the cargo door is still opening. Here we go. Okay, start loading our two A320 fuselages, please, which will be assembled in Finkenwerder. It's really a pity that they can't open the doors over here. That would look so nice. Okay, in any case, let's go ahead and start setting up our flight plan. So, A330 700, Trent 700 engines, current nav database. We can delete the stored waypoint. Check all those messages, and then onto the init data request. Toulouse to Finkenwerder, alternate Bremen, Beluga 213 Golf, Costa X30, flight level 300. And then Toulouse departure, 14 left, and we've got the Mont departure. There we go, Mont 7 Hotel. Insert, and for arrival into Finkenwerder, we'll take the ILS approach to runway 23. They don't have any stars over here, but they do have a couple of vias, and we are coming in via Nolgo, so let's go ahead and select via Nolgo. Okay, flight plan entered, then let's continue by getting out our charts and preparing for this. So departures, runway 14 left, and we are looking for sits towards the east. So, Mont 7 Hotel, propeller aircraft. Wonderful. Wonder what SimBrief did there. So we're looking for the alpha departures instead. So let's redo this. 14 left. Mount 7 alpha. Insert. Okay, straight ahead to 1000. Bravo Oscar 140, which is an overfly point. Then 4000. Then it's going to be a left-hand turn via waypoint 143, which we have in here, onto waypoint 145, then mid-up, and mount. We can get rid of the discontinuity, which shouldn't have been here in first place, and that's it. So, secondary flight plan, copy the active, and in case we have any emergencies straight ahead, 3000 feet, should keep us safe. So, LFB014 left, / runway track is 142 for 25 miles. And we can enter that in here. Now, normally I would be inserting a holding over here. For some reason it doesn't want to do it, so let's just program an immediate return towards Toulouse for an ILS approach onto runway 14 right, and insert that. We'll do the same thing on the fix info page, so Toulouse 14 left with a radial 142. And then our place bearing distance 01 point is going into here. Nothing on the radios. We tune that departure runway in here as well. And then onto the performance initialization. So 0 fuel 133 point, well, 134. 134/25. Block fuel 20 tons, taxi fuel 0.5. Then let's find a couple more fuel figures. Contingency 0.7, alternate 2.4, final 2.4. 0.7 is correct. 2.4 and 2.4. Here we go. Okay, onto the performance. Config 2 takeoff. At 60 degrees flex temperature. Noise abatement procedure 2. In case of engine out, however, we will do 1500 AGL. And then takeoff speeds 136, 146, 149. Like this, D-rate climb 2, and that should be our FMS setup done with. Alright, up to the FCU. QNH will be 1026. Flight directors, constraints, and initial climb, something about 5000 or so. Like that. So it looks like they have completed the loading. Then let's start closing that door, as it is certainly going to take us a while. If we go to the outside for a second. Just look at that speed at which that door closes. They really made it very, very, very slow. But it is a huge door after all. And that's our 2 A320 sections loaded. Okay. So back into the cockpit. While the door is closing, we can start with the briefing, please. So it's your turn. Okay, Toulouse, runway 14 left, Mount 7 Alpha departure, climbing 5,000 feet, MSA is 2,900, and we don't have much extra fuel. Yep, sounds good. I only see a single hotspot for the taxi, that's the crossing of runway 14 right. Stop margin in case of rejected takeoff is more than enough. Engine outset straight at 25 miles, climbing 3,000 feet with an MSA at 2,900 feet, as you correctly said. And if we need to make an immediate return, Toulouse is the best option in the area. Long runway, already programmed on the secondary flight plan as well. I don't see any special or non-standard operation over here. Do you have any threats for the departure? No? Excellent. So that's our departure briefing completed. Cockpit preparation checklist, please. Gear pencil covers removed. Fuel quantity 19,980 kilograms balanced. Seatbelts to go. Well, let's turn them on now. They're about ready on the outside anyway. So, seatbelts on, ADRs. Nav, barrel ref, QNH 1026, cockpit preparation checklist complete. Listen to how you can hear that cargo door operating. And it's about closed now. Very good, so cargo door is closed. Okay then. GSX, prepare for pushback and departure, please. We don't need de-icing over here. It's still plus 4 degrees, even though it's been raining, but the aircraft has been standing for the night, so there is no ice on it from any previous flight or cold fuel or whatever. Ground flight deck? Go ahead. Okay, please confirm that all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment can be removed now, and the bypass pin is installed. Yeah. No bypass pin yet. I think that's the message you wanted to send us. Okay, GPU is removed. Then cargo payload 134 is correct, CG 24.4. Okay, leads us to a takeoff weight of 153.5, and we have 24.9 and 24.9, resulting in a trim of 5.1 units nose up. Like that. Perfect. Okay, I think that is everything done that we needed to do. Before start procedures. And before start checklist, please. Park and brake. Set. Takeoff speeds and thrust. V1 136, VR 146, V2 149, flex 60. Windows. Closed. And the beacon on. Before start checklist complete. And just to be sure, anti-ice should be on this one. I think I messed that one up. Let's try that again. 57 degrees now. But the rest, flaps 2 and 36, 46, 49 unchanged. 5.1 up, also unchanged. Very good. Let me keep it as it is. So, ground flight deck. Go ahead. We'll clear the push, face north, park brake set. Roger, release brakes. Brakes released. Thank you, starting the pushback, and you're clear to start the engines at your discretion. Roger, starting at our discretion. So, red line over here. Once we're clear of that, we can commence our engine start. Okay, clear the red line. Starting in sequence 1, then 2. Engine 1 start. That looks expensive down here. We have a good start in engine 1, starting engine 2. Clear 2, and the push is complete. Set your brakes, please. Brake set. Okay, number 1 availed, starting 2. You might have noticed the cockpit door open light down here. Well, seeing that we are in Airbus corporate aviation over here, I'm not too worried about leaving it open. But of course, the aircraft rightfully gives me an indication about that. So if you see something amber down here for the flight, you now know why. Okay, engine number 2 is starting and looks fairly normal. We have 2 good engine starts. You're clear to disconnect. Show me the pin on the left, please, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. 24.9. That looks about correct. So, there comes the ramp agent. He's holding a pin in the hands. That is perfect. So, give me the signal. Here we go. Perfect. After start checklist. Anti-ice. Engine anti-ice on. Ecom status. Checked. Pitch trim. 24.9%. Rudder trim. Neutral. After start checklist complete. Clear left side, clear right side. Brake released, off we go. So, a little bit of a threat for today's flight. We are sitting very, very low in the Beluga. Completely contrary to what the A330 cockpit normally looks like. So, we gotta be rather careful on taxi here. We might have to apply a little bit more oversteering than what we're normally used to. Okay, brake check. Pressure 0. Fairly easy taxi, straight ahead, left turn out, and eventually we end up at the runway. But for the sake of it, let me show you on the chart as well. So, clear left side and clear right side. So we are departing from down here on the Beluga apron. And here we are just about leaving the Airbus area via Sierra 50. Now we are taxiing on the south taxiway over here until Sierra 8, crossing 14 right and then to runway 14 left. So this one taxis like an A330 should taxi. Nicely in idle, accelerating, wonderful. That's just about perfect. Okay, so second taxiway to the right will be ours. That's going to be Sierra 8. Well then, let's break it down below 10. Okay, flight control track. Full up. Full down, neutral. Full left, full right, neutral. And unfortunately the tiller disconnect button doesn't work, so we can't really check the rudder, but we know we can go around turns, so I'm rather happy with the rudder as well. So let's see what the weather radar has in store for us today. And then we can do the taxi checklist. Flight controls, checked. Flap setting, conf 2. Radar and predictive wind shear, on and auto. Engine start selector, norm, ECA memo, takeoff, no blue. Taxi checklist, complete. Kind of nice how the Saint-Martin apron over there is in the rain, while there's sunshine over here, and then a couple more rain showers here and there. The atmospheric engine in this sim just looks so incredibly good. Overall, the more I'm using it, the more I'm liking it. And well, we are flying a goddamn Beluga. That's just so cool. Okay, clear to cross runway 14 right and line up runway 14 left. Clear on the left side. And clear on the right side. Cabin, prepare for departure. Okay, 14 left, mic 8 is confirmed, lineup checklist. Takeoff runway, 14 left, mic 8. Chicas, Tara, PAX 1 and 2, off, lineup checklist complete. Okay, brake temperatures are still more than okay. Are you ready for rolling takeoff? Oui, oui. Yep, that's what you shouldn't do. Stop in a turn. And here you can see why. You really need a lot of thrust to get it moving again. Okay. So, timing. Takeoff. Manflex 57. SRS runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. .100 knots. Checked. Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav. Checked. So what's the weather like? That's alright. Thrust decline 2, climb auto thrust. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Flaps 0. Speed checked. Flaps 0. .4,000 feet restriction, or rather, once we reach 4,000 we can start the left-hand turn. So I tell you what, let's go select it here, something like 210 or so that we can start the turn as early as possible. Or just stick it to 220. Happy with that. Okay, continue climb to flight level 150. And for some odd reason it hasn't recognized that we've... Now it's recognized that we've overflown that waypoint. Okay, passing 4000, left-hand turn out, and managed speeds. Flies really well, doesn't it? So... Set standard. Come on. Standard cross-check, passing flight level 5-1. Now. Check. So, update the direct, please. That's better. Alright, temperature outside 6 degrees, so we definitely still need the anti-ice. Autopilot 1. So that was a smooth departure. I liked it. This is just such a cool looking aircraft. Really, really like it. I really do. Sometimes I wish we had a tail camera over here in the aircraft, but suppose we gotta live without. So hopefully we'll clear those clouds soon and finally see the sun. Because let's admit it, that's part of the motivation of getting up that early all the time in this job. And it looks like we're getting there. Oh yes, here we go. Okay, proceed direct to Mont, please. So, direct Mike Echo November. Passing 10,000. Lights off, signs off. So, airport, airport. So, clear and copy, please. Nothing on the rat nav. Copy the secondary. Okay, cruise 300. In the Beluga we gotta disregard the optimum and the maximum. We will simply fly what SimReef calculates. And I looked at a couple of Flight Radar 24 plans. They usually flew flight level 300 on this flight. For this reason, flight level 300 it is. Old cruise flight level 300 blue. And we're finally out of the clouds. Look at that beautiful sky. You just gotta love it, right? You just gotta love it. Engine anti-ice off. Well, and with the sun coming from the right, I'm pretty sure she would do this. And probably this as well. I'll keep mine open so that we can see something during the flight, but I tend to say for now that's going to be it for the departure. So sit back, relax and enjoy the flight, and I see you all again on the approach to Finkenwerder. slowly getting there. As you can see, I had to go to selected speed here to maintain Mach 0.68 in order not to overspeed the aircraft, as it had that tendency to accelerate right into the red band. Apart from that, it's been a rather uneventful flight. However, the fuel usage seems to have been a little bit greater than what was initially anticipated, which is the reason why we now have an estimated fuel on board of 4.6 tons at our destination, which is more than fine, but it means we have to commit to landing at our destination if the weather is good enough, otherwise divert to the ordnance straight away. So here comes the weather, and as you can see, that's easily good enough to commit to our destination, and if we really need to, we can always divert to Hamburg, which is immediately around the corner, so fuel isn't an issue. Now the winds southwesterly at 9 knots, 1700 meters visibility, overcast clouds, 500 feet, temperature 1, QNH 1015. That is certainly not the best of all weather conditions yet, but we are gonna get down there without too many problems. After all, we are IFR, so for IFR this is rather good weather indeed. Now let's go ahead and see if we can find any approach charts, or if the tool has once again hung itself up. So, Echo Delta Hotel India is what we're looking for, Hamburg Finkenwerder. Then let's have a look. And that looks like we do have charts available indeed. The approach is going to be the ILS towards runway 23. Let's open that chart and see what we can find. And here we go. So coming in via Nolgo, we've got the transition onto runway 23. Looks fairly similar to the transition that would be in use for the approach to the main Hamburg airport, just that we are going to be a little bit higher and then eventually pass the beam, the main Hamburg, and land down here in Finkenwerder. Now, the minimum itself, as we can see, is 260 feet above the ground, so no big deal with our overcast and 500. We need 1000 meters visibility. We do have 1700, so it'll be easy going. Alright, into the FMS then, and we can start our setup. So for the approach itself, we are coming in from Nolgo and then via waypoint 609, 220 knots, onto the downwind until waypoint 615, all of which we have in here. Then via 655, 656, 657 towards 035, and from there we are gonna start our approach towards Tarmap, 3000 feet, 3-degree glide path, which we have at 3.7 miles. We check 1190 down to the minimum 280, and in case of missed approach, heading 229 until 3.3 DME. And then left-hand turn down to Hamburg VOR, climbing 4000, which we have in our box, so easy going. Can tune Hamburg VOR into here. Then Echo Delta Hotel India 23 for the FMS. Now for our descent, it's going to be Mach 0.68 and on conversion 280 knots. Arrival weather. So QNH 1015, temperature 1, and the wind 230 at 9. Minimums, as we have already had a look at, 280 feet. Here we go. Config 3 landing, slightly faster than what we'd be used to, but nothing to worry about. The Beluga is such a light aircraft. Even in config 3, our approach speed is only 129 knots. We can disregard the fuel down here. We'll keep those numbers as they are for the time being. And last but not least, secondary copy active. And that's it. Now let's go ahead and have a look at where we are going to park, as that's one of the more interesting questions today. Landing on runway 23. We have 3,132 meters available, and for an intersection takeoff from Golf on 05, that's 1,710. In other words, if we can vacate within 1,710, then we are good to go to vacate the runway straight away. At this light weight today, I'm fairly sure our brake low is gonna do that job for us. The only question is if we have a displaced threshold, but nothing significant. Well, I don't know, 400 meters or so, which leaves us with 1,300 meters to stop the aircraft. I honestly gotta tell you, I don't think that's gonna be a problem in the Beluga. I really don't think it will be. In any case, it'll be interesting to try that out. So auto brakes low is selected. And then we'll see what is going to happen here. And looking over here, actual stopping distance available, 2,815. So indeed, we're looking at around a 400 meter display threshold. Okay. So last but not least, the question is as always, where are we going to taxi after the landing? And for that, I tend to say we just have a look at Flight Radar to see what they did in the real world. And this is the real world flight that we are mimicking today. As you can see, they also landed on 2-3. They missed the exit and then used the turn pad over here to turn back and then taxi to the hangar over here. I think there might possibly be a static aircraft on here. If there is, then our contingency plan is to taxi all the way to the flight line, and then we are going to park the aircraft somewhere over here on one of those large parking stands until they are done unloading the other Beluga that's there at the moment. Well, and that's the basic idea. Okay, are you ready for the briefing? Then let's go for it. So, we are going to fly the ILS approach 23 at an MSA of 2,100 feet, minimum is 280, and in case of go-around, straight ahead 3.3 miles, left turn to Hamburg VOR, climbing 4,000. Extra fuel, as we've already discussed, not really any extra fuel, but the weather is good, so nothing to worry about. Yep, I agree. Manually flown approach, flight directors on, and manual thrust. Using a config 3 landing, maximum reversers, however, in order to stop the aircraft at the intersection. Well, or otherwise we'll just use the first turn pad like the real flight did. Vacating the runway, then depending on in the landing direction to the right. If we make a 180, then to the left. And well, that's already it. I don't have any specials on non-standards over here. Since we're an IMC, we don't need to worry about any VFR traffic that we might otherwise find around Finkenwerder. So that's it. Any questions? Nope. Beautiful. Okay, then we can start our descent and let's go to flight level 100. Descent out, flight level 100 blue, managed speed, and that's it. So, I see you all as we are getting a little bit further down on the approach. Approaching flight level 100, and just in time to see our aircraft diving for no reason. Approaching level 400, just in time to reduce our speed towards 250 knots, and then we are going to descend down to initially 4,000 feet on the QNH 1015, and that's cross-check passing 9,900 now. So, lights on, signs on, constraints, LS. We'll definitely need that one today. Okay, speed limit exceeded, we can ignore that. GPS primary, high accuracy, and the mode selector is in norm. So, that's looking very good for our approach for the time being. And then, I tend to say, we can start with the approach checklist, please. And that's barrel ref, QNH 1015, seatbelts on, minimum, barrel 280, auto brake, low, engine mode selector, norm, approach checklist complete. So it might get a little freezing once we're entering the clouds. Engine anti-ice on. Looks like the majority of the precipitation is outside our approach area, but blowing into it. And over at Tamap we do have a couple of yellow returns, so that's somewhere over here I believe. That doesn't look all too bad. Okay, we'll fly onto a downwind vector and then we'll probably straight away turn back onto the base. Let's make it heading 020 for now. Heading, and then descend 3,000 feet. So, extend the centerline please, out of Tamap. And that's gonna be, let's see, final approach course is 229, then the opposite of that is 049. Alright, that looks decent. Nope, you're not gonna turn inbound just now. Okay, activate approach phase. And managed speed. Alright, time to turn to the final. So, left heading 260, cleared ILS approach runway 23. I'll wait with the approach mode until we are a little bit closer towards our center line here. So we might overshoot that final a little bit. Let's go for the left, heading 200, still cleared ILS. Oh, well, look at that. It actually seems to work out. Okay, Lockstar, Cat3 Dual, Autopilot 1 and 2, Glide Slope Blue. That's actually quite cool. This worked out. Glide Slope Star, go around altitude 4000 set, flaps 1. Speed checked, flaps 1. Very slight overshoot, but that's alright. Glide slope. So, quick check of the radar, and it looks like the precipitation has already moved in, or our radar did otherwise not recognize it earlier. The real one would probably have noticed. In any case, it looks like there is quite a bit of precip out at the airport right now. But I tell you what, that's not going to prevent me from flying manual. Autopilot off. Cat 1, lock. That triple click came a little bit late. Alright, let's see. The anti-ice is on and will remain on throughout the approach. We're at a very light weight, so decelerating the plane shouldn't be too much of an issue today. And well, we've got the drag of a Beluga, so it won't be an issue anyway. So, standard configuration sequence, we gotta be stable at 1000 since we are in IMC, and that's it. Okay, let's go all manual. 2,500. Checked. Flaps 2. Speed checked. Flaps 2. Gear down. Flaps 3, speed checked, flaps 3. Okay, the speed is coming back now. Well, cabin. Whatever, huh? Okay, landing checklist. Ecam memo, landing no blue, landing checklist complete. So a little bit of power and we are nice and stable at 1,000. Just flying ourselves back into the glide slope here. So ground speed 120, that means we need around 600 feet a minute rate of descent on the final in order to maintain the glide. Or we just cheat with a flight director, that's of course also an option. And we're going stable through the gate. A little bit of snow here it seems. So the ground is in sight. Wish we could see a little bit more, but hey. Okay, so back into the flight deck. Land. And I'll just fly back into the glide here. Of course, we're a little bit low right now, but hey, if I gotta go outside to make photos, we gotta set priorities, right? In any case, the runway is in sight.
300. 100 above.
Checked. Continue.
200.
They could have turned on the approach lights. Spoilers, reverse green, decel. Okay, that's our exit over here. Then we'll do it like the real one did and take the turn pad. Manual brakes. So let's reset a timer so that we can go for a single engine taxi once the APU is up. Speed down at 10, starting APU. Keeping the speed in the turn, probably one of the most important things here. And here we go. Very, very nice. Okay, if it wouldn't have been for my little photo shoot on the final, then obviously we would have been on the glide the entire time, so I didn't really bother too much with that. Alright, we're going to vacate the runway to the left, and I have the feeling, looking over there, the previous Beluga is still getting unloaded. That means we'll have to park it on an intermediate parking position. But that's fine with me. After landing checklist, radar and predictive wind shear off. After landing checklist complete. So, Finkenwerder, beautiful scenery available from flightsim.to. APU avail, shutdown engine 2. Okay, well, these guys are busy at the moment, so we'll, as briefed, bring it to an intermediate stopping position. That's gonna be somewhere over there on the flight line, straight ahead. And then they can tow us over as soon as they're finished with the other aircraft there. And then it's gonna be our turn. So we'll be parking it somewhere straight over here. Now, lights coming off. And that is our parking position. But we go for the middle one, of course, since we are in a wide body. A little bit of power to get it around the turn. We absolutely don't want to stop now. That could be detrimental. And we might have to either restart the other engine or get ourselves pulled in. Here we go, looking good. Okay, the lights are off. APU bleed on. And we can bring it to a hold over here. Park brake set, APU bleed checked, shutdown. So, all doors in park. Engine is running down. Very good. Parking checklist. Parking brake chocks. Brake set, engines off, fuel pumps off, parking checklist complete. Well, now comes the interesting part. So, toggle the front cargo, please. This is gonna take a little while to open. In the meantime, we can do the rest of the shutdowns. So, fuel usage was evenly distributed, a little bit less fuel on the left-hand side, which is expected due to the APU. And last but not least, data, position monitor, that's okay. Alright, let's delete the previously stored waypoints for the next crew. And then we are pretty much done. So, toggle ground power unit, please. Even two of them. Nice. Okay, shutting down APU. Okay. And that's it. Securing the aircraft checklist, please. So. Oxygen, off. Emergency exit lights, off. EFBs, off. Batteries, off. Securing the aircraft checklist, complete. Come on, those views are being interesting today. Here we go. That's what we wanted to see. Okay, that looks like the door is almost open. Imagine the forces that must be acting on this. That is really, really incredible. Okay, the door seems open to me. So, cargo, unload. Let's go ahead and see that in action. And with all of that out of the way, all I can say is thank you so much for flying along. I hope you enjoyed this one. Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments beneath the video. And as always, if you liked the video, like, comment and subscribe, as it does really help out the channel. Finally, if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.